Hello again, and welcome to this installment of the Daily Cannon Tactics Board. Stephen Bradley here, bringing you the tactical tweaks and quirks that came from Arsenal's uh, maybe pointless 1-all draw with Fulham in the Premier League yesterday. Been a quiet 24 hours of news, hasn't it? Um, I mean, like I said, we hopefully the next video will be coming up Friday after the Everton game, but who knows if there will be another Premier League game? Who knows whether Arsenal will be shown the door, whether we'll be in a new league, whether West Ham are now going to be considered champions because the top six are going to get thrown out. I mean, it's a mess, isn't it? Yeah. So, like I said, we do a podcast on Daily Cannon as well. We do one every week. That's going to be recorded tonight. So if you are interested in a lot more discussion and details on what happens with Arsenal from here, that'll be up on dailycannon.com and wherever you hear your wherever you get your podcasts from. It's the Daily Cannon Weekly Podcast. But if you're here just for tactics, just to hear me talk about the Arsenal and how they play, no problem. That's what you'll get today. Like you can like this video if this is exactly what you want. Comment below if you saw anything yesterday that I missed. And if you want these videos in your inbox on a regular basis, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Any help and any support is always greatly appreciated because it helps us make these videos more regularly and of a better quality in the future. So yeah, uh talking about the game, I mean, this was 3 hours before everything hit the fan. We were still worrying about qualifying for the Champions League next year and wondering whether Villarreal are going to be showing a little bit of form after winning 5-1. And yeah, we looked at the team, we went, oh, okay, Bellerin's back in. Oh, okay, Xhaka's still at left back. Oh, okay, Partey's getting a rest. And Martinelli's getting a run. And you're like, oh, okay, it's enough rotation. Matt Ryan didn't play too badly in his last outing. He deserves another run. Leno probably deserves a rest at some point. Chambers did okay, but again, Bellerin with his future at the club, mixed as it stands at the moment. He's been given a run, and Saka needs a run of games. Smith Rowe needs a run of games, and Lacazette has been in and out of the team. Yes, he's played well over the last 2 or 3 games, but yesterday afternoon you would have told me yes, they're going to play him. I would have went, okay, he still needs to get used to this new system that we're playing. Hindsight will mean that now that he's picked up at least a hamstring injury and hopefully he's fit for Villarreal Thursday week. But yeah, it's pretty much the team you would have wanted to pick. Like there are players that needed a rest. Party, Mari, Mari not so much, but you know, Xhaka needs to play left back as much as he can. Left back as much as he can because again we're trying out this new system and Martinelli just needs game time. So I can't argue with the team selection, and to be honest, I can't argue too much with the performance. Yes, they drew, but when you create 2.66, it's not that bad. You're never. We have to get out of the expectation that we're going to win 3-0 or 4-0 every game. Like there are some games that you're going to scrap through a 1-0 or scrap a 2-1, and this was just one of those games where just everything went against them. It's as simple as that. They executed the plan quite well. They scored three good goals. One of them was rightly caught offside. Second one was that much, like literally a toe offside. Like if Bukayo Saka is wearing smaller shoes, it's a goal. And then they get the goal in the 97th minute. It's Areola makes 3 or 4 wonder saves. It's just one of those games. Like the pattern of play that they've shown against Sheffield United and against Slavia Prague was again in show and on display yesterday, and it's probably a little bit easier to show it and show what they're trying to do when they've got more as much of the ball, at least as they did against Fulham, because the heat maps are a lot more defined. Like against Slavia Prague, they had 34% possession. Against Sheffield United, they had 54% possession. In yesterday's game, they had 70, and they were trying the same thing over and over again. And usually you'll hear me bemoan them going, oh God, why haven't I got a plan B? But plan A was working. So I can't fault it. It's just the fact that the ball didn't go in the net. It's again, some people will say, oh well that's the one thing they're supposed to do. I know, but sometimes things just don't go your way. Like I said, Fulham's XG is 0.87. Well, 0.78 of that is a penalty that they were lucky to get. So what do you do? What do you do? But yeah, we saw against Sheffield United and against Slavia Prague the idea of Xhaka basically not being a fullback, that he is a third centre back, almost like a quarterback in football. And it's very easy to show you what I mean by the heat maps because look at this. Okay, Arsenal had so much more of the ball than they did with Sheffield United and with Slavia Prague, and the pattern is very clear. Goal kick, Xhaka, Saka, or Smith Rowe, and then it's either to get it in here, which is from Saka beating his man, or to get it out wide to Martinelli. So bish, bash, bosh. Simple. That's the plan, and I can show you exactly how it goes about. So Bellerin immediately scampers up the field to play right wing so that Saka can play here. Smith Rowe does his usual Smith Rowe job of finding room in around here, but he likes to play in and around the right, so he goes there. Holding fills here, Gabriel fills here, Xhaka fills here. Now, in the game, because Fulham were sitting so deep, Xhaka ended up playing left mid. Xhaka at times was here, which which show you, the extent to which Fulham were sitting back and hoping that they could counter. When your supposed centre back is so far up the field where he's here that everyone else is in front of him, that shows you how much pressure Arsenal were putting on, where they were able to just push forward. And Fulham sat there and waited, basically, to hopefully pick them off on the counter attack with the speed and pace of Maya and Cavallero and Lookman. And they didn't really do much apart from getting a penalty, really. And it was the same with Holding. Yep, it was the same with Holding, who ended up, or that's Gabriel, who ended up in the same place. Holding, who ended up getting a nosebleed at times, being so far up the pitch. So Arsenal's three centre backs had the ball at times here. I'll just move Ceballos and Elneny out of the way for a second. But when your three centre backs have the ball here, like you can see how much possession Arsenal have and how patient you have to be when you've got 11 men in front of you in an exceptionally low block. That's what Fulham were doing. Cordova-Reid was playing almost as a second right back, and Lookman was playing almost as a second left back. Like it was a proper 4-4-2, but an exceptionally low block. And it was interesting to see Arsenal just maintain this presence of knocking the ball around, because if I show you where Ceballos was, he's playing left wing. Jacques is here. He's here sometimes getting the ball. And the reason why he's there is because Martinelli, the supposed left wing, is here playing almost inside left. So Martinelli is here, Ceballos is here. Lacazette is playing his false nine, Saka is here, and Smith Rowe is here. With Bellerin here and Anelli basically just as a decoy almost, such as his limitations on the ball, that he often ended up getting out of the way so many times that Gabriel would push forward and Anelli would almost be the furthest man back. Like that, you consider that to when Arsenal play with Partey, and they were a little bit further back, but Partey was here, almost acting as a conductor. He was making sure that everyone got the ball. Like he was always acting as a release valve. If moves broke down, if Ceballos couldn't get through to Martinelli or Lacazette, it would go back to Partey here. And then he was doing the opposite, and then he was just getting out of the way. And as a result, they did find it tricky just to break down a packed. In Gaelic football here in Ireland, we call this the blanket defence, where everyone just sits back and covers the goal mouths like a duvet, like a blanket, and it's derailed. Like I said, it. One of Ireland's most famous commentators, Pat Spillane, called this puke football. Because Gaelic football, it's supposed to be an attacking game, but a lot of teams, especially from the north of Ireland, play very conservatively, very defensively, and they have no problem sticking. It's a 15-man game, 13 men behind the ball, and just waiting and just letting the opposition just pass the ball in front of them. And the same happened. The same happened yesterday. I mean, if you go to player statistics, Granit Xhaka had 123 touches of the ball, and Rob Holding had 100. Like it's one of those it's one of those things where just Arsenal had a lot more of the ball than usual, and the plan they were trying to execute, this left, right, left, was working. It was working quite well because Lookman is not a defender. He is a striker basically, and he's playing right wing because he's quick, and left wing is at this point, but he can play both sides. And poor Robinson got replaced by Joe Bryan with 20 minutes to go, and Saka was immense yesterday, absolutely immense, because it didn't matter who was on him. We'll get everyone out of the way. Saka would get the ball here, and he would always, always, always beat the first man. Always. And to the point where Robinson was literally standing here half the time so that Saka couldn't get round him, and Lookman was occupied with Bellerin. So Saka, let me get Saka, there we go. He was consistently worried about Saka getting in here that eventually Saka just started going on his right foot because Robinson was so much on his heels, so much making sure that he couldn't get inside, that Saka had basically free rein to do whatever he wanted. And as a result, the defence, as always, starts doing this, which means Martinelli had free rein down here and got off shot after shot after shot. Happened after 2 minutes. Martinelli gets here and perhaps should score. Like, he was getting into positions of great danger and great great effect. It's just he just didn't score. And this was happening time and again. Saka would get the ball, Smith Rowe would get the ball, Fulham's defence would all cave over to the left, their left, and then Martinelli and Ceballos would be free here. And they didn't really cope with it very well for the whole game. It was very much a case of just let's get as many people back as we can and hope to God we can clear everything. And it nearly worked. It was very much bend, don't break, and good God, did it bend. Like I said, the goal that was called off for offside because Saka was there. If he's there, he's onside and it's a goal. And then, the cross comes in from Bellerin, and Ceballos, who's lurking left wing all game, comes in, heads it in, and it should have been 1-0. Same happens, by the way, for the goal. It's Ceballos now playing right wing, cuts inside, and it's Nketiah who scores. It's the same thing. It's this constant shifting of the defence, going from one side to the other and back, that Arsenal were so comfortable with doing with Fulham that it was only a matter of time before they scored. But I suppose the one interesting thing that happened is that, yes, they were trying this, and yes, it was working, but they still tried something new. They still tried something a little bit different with 25 minutes to go, with the game still at 0-1, as it was, to Fulham, because they were desperate for a goal. And we've often said, what will Arteta do when things get a little bit whiffy? What will he do as a plan B? What will he do as a last ditch hurrah, as a final throwing of the dice, etc.? And if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know by now how much I want this man here. I don't want him here. I don't mind him here. I don't mind him here, but I want him here. I don't care what it takes to get him here. I just want him here. And in a very attacking move, in an exceptionally attacking move, Arsenal made a couple of substitutions. First thing they did was take off Elneny, who was contributing nothing, basically. And second thing they did was take off Hector Bellerin, who had an okay game. Like, he set up Ceballos' goal. Like, he was all right, but he wasn't really contributing in the same way that you'd expect him to do, going overlapping again and again, especially with Saka going so far forward and being able to cut inside so frequently. He wasn't really contributing to his usual efficiency. Maybe he's carrying a little bit of a knock, maybe he's just out of form, I don't know, but he was okay. It's just he wasn't. When you've got Martinelli cutting in on his right so often, it can get a little bit congested at times, and with Xhaka obviously not playing left back, Ceballos is trying to do it on the left, and you need someone doing it on the right, especially when Fulham are so deep. You need someone to do this all the time. And Arteta saw this and decided that the one man for the job, or at least to help, was Saka. And he brings on Pepe. And it, like I said, it's one thing playing him here and then expecting him to go here, but right back was a new one even to me. It's like, okay, you're really going for this because as we've seen, if we look at Bellerin's heat map, like the right back in this system that Arsenal are playing is here. So if the right back's going to be here, then kind of makes sense that it's Saka in a way, because he's going to see so much of the ball there. It just relies on Pepe almost getting out of the way because now you've got, in essence, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 here, both looking to do the same thing. Like neither of these players are going to try and go here, which means after about 5 minutes, even though Martinelli was doing exceptionally well here, they had to swap because Martinelli at least offered a threat here. And as a result, Martinelli would drag well, this is now Joe Bryan, but because Martinelli was offering himself out as a decoy almost, Saka's here by himself against a right mid and a centre mid. And even with 20 minutes to go, when Nketiah came on, Nketiah did the same thing. Nketiah, instead of going deep, went forward, which pushed these back even more, which pushed Anguissa back, pushed Lamina back, and you had this situation where Saka would end up here. Partey is now pushed forward. Smith Rowe has now gone here. Ceballos is here. Actually, Partey is here. Xhaka here. Gabriel here. And you've got this insane position where Ceballos and Pepe are all trying to get in this little pocket here. Just waiting for Saka to get past Lookman, to get past Bryan. And Martinelli then basically decides Saka doesn't need any help. He can beat the left back or the left mid by himself, and was right. And in essence, the last 15 minutes was let's get our ball to our right back. He's the only player that can beat a defender. Let's see if he can get a cross in. Like, it should show you, as much as Arteta has been talking about not relying on Smith Rowe and Saka, it should show you the importance of this man to the team. Because with 20 minutes to go, it was basically put in his hands to go, right, you're the man who's getting in fantastic crosses. You're the man that's most dangerous on the ball. You're the man that's doing something. You're the man that most likely creates something. Here, everyone's going to try and get in the box. We're going to give you the ball and we're going to let you work. And it worked. They got a free kick. They kept getting corners. They kept putting pressure on. And yes, it was the Ceballos shot from here with Nketiah, basically at the far post getting in. But this was very much Bukayo Saka's show. This was very much a case of one man starting to separate himself from an exceptionally talented team. Like, Smith Rowe is really good. Martinelli, we all love. Pepe has, he's started to kick on a little bit. Partey's been excellent, but the longer this season goes on, the more this man improves. And if he keeps up this form, if we can keep him fit, the sky's the limit for this man. It really, truly is. And it's going to be interesting over the next 6, 9, 12 months to see his development and to see him being used as a Swiss Army knife and basically plugged into any position that Arteta needs when he needs a goal. Because, good God, is that a good plan B? Again, I never want to see him right back or left back again. I need to see him here. But if this is the future, if this three-man, this three how would we put it? Three, Ceballos, Ceballos, Pepe. I'll get Pepe right there. He is. If we are going to go 3-4-3 like this, eventually, you'd think that the most important man is here is Smith Rowe. There he is. But it's not. It's Saka. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting how we build around him. Now that of course we were absolutely flush with money because we're about to join a new. Yay. We will see you after the Everton game. Good luck.